I've got a problem. My 10-inch chef's knife is dull. Let's go sharpen it. So here I've got two tools you may think of when you think of sharpening a knife. One is a honing steel and the other is a whetstone. Which one am I going to use? Well, let's talk a little bit more about what you're doing when you're sharpening a knife. Well, let's take a look at what a knife edge looks like that is dull. So if you were to zoom in on a knife edge that's dull, that's actually what it would look like. Here's a sharp one. See that? That's the edge. Not this. This. Not that. That. So how do you get from here to here? Well, you have to abrade the steel so that you create filaments. And then you have to align the filaments into that kind of mohawk. You have to align the filaments into that mohawk. So in order to in order to create these filaments, you need to use a stone. And then in order to get them into place and keep them in place over time, you'll use a honing steel. So a honing steel won't work unless there's an edge to begin with. So let's create an edge. I'm going to put a damp towel down. And we've got two grits here, 500 grit and a 1000 grit. We're going to start with the 500 grit, which is coarser. And there are lots of different ways that I've seen people use a stone with a knife. I had a chef that liked to grind in a circular motion, almost like you're brushing your teeth. That works pretty well. I've also had people say you go from the base to the tip in kind of an arc, semicircle. I would say whatever gets you the best results is what you should stick with. So you see I'm putting even pressure along the whole length of the knife. And trying to keep track of the number of times that I'm running the knife over the stone. A little bit more water. Let's do the same thing on the finer grit. Now let's clean up the knife. Clean as we go. Now at this point, if we were to take a magnifying glass to the knife edge, what we would hope to see would be this. With this being the filaments that we just kind of roughed off of the edge of the knife. Now we want to line all of those up. Now to hone all of those filaments, we're going to use the honing steel. You've seen chefs probably use a honing steel like this. Sometimes like this. How I teach people to use a honing steel is to hold it straight up and down and go from heel to tip and heel to tip. So heel and heel, down to tip and tip at about a 20-degree angle on either side. How do you tell if it's a 20-degree angle? Well, That's a 90-degree angle. It's clearly wrong. Cut that in half. You've got 45 degrees. Cut it in half again. You've got about 20, a little over 20 degrees. And again, use a little pressure. And if you feel a little bit of resistance, that means you've got something to work with. And that's a good thing. And hopefully you'll feel the resistance start to decline. It'll get a little smoother. And at this point, we should have a nice healthy edge on the knife. If you're experienced with what you're feeling for, you can feel for it here. If you're not experienced, please don't do that. And the best way to test whether you have an edge is just to cut something. You've seen chefs cut a piece of paper before. That's an okay test. So let's see how we did. Not bad. Now we have a sharp knife.